Wanted to show my daylilies. They're still not reached peak performance yet, but just to give you an idea of the little hedge that I made around the front of our house and how the Stella de Oro daylilies, how pretty they are. It's rained, so everything looks a little soggy out here. But these are pink double knockouts that really had a beautiful first flush, and now the blooms are aging, so you can see that they're starting to look a little bit weary. They're still pretty color, but the blooms are older. There's tons more buds though. If you look close, you can see that it's just loaded with buds just all over the plant. So it's going to have another flush. This is the red double knockout rose back there. And normally I don't think it's a good idea to put red up against pink. I planted these a while back and really wasn't thinking about what I was doing. There's a Japanese maple there behind it. But the yellow Stella de Oro really up against that pink, I think is a pretty combination. But you know, the pink roses they're just not looking their best right now. And you can see that there's still lots of buds on the Stellas. You know, all of these here, there's just, you know, all of these are going to be, but I just think that golden yellow is a beautiful color. Some people don't like that color of yellow, but like I said in my previous video, it's not just the flower on the Stella de Oros that is attractive in my opinion. I think the bushy, strappy leaves of the plant itself, even without the blooms, I think is a pretty look. Other daylilies that I have, you know, they have strappy leaves, but there's just a few leaves and they're long and they kind of lay on the ground. They're not very well organized, and without blooms, I think they're just not an attractive plant. The Stellas, in my opinion, look tidy and neat all the time. They're not super tall, so you can pretty much put them anywhere you want. And you know, several years ago I planted this little hedge, I guess you could call it, around the front of my home here, and they will bloom again when this cycle of blooms is spent and the last of the little buds have opened. Then what I do is I literally take hedge trimmers, battery operated hedge trimmers, and I go down almost to the ground and I just cut them off like a buzz haircut. And what they do is they come back out again with fresh new greenery and they will bloom again. So, you know, now in between what I did, in between each one of these little bushes, I have daffodils. So when these first came out of the ground, they die back completely to the ground in the winter. And I just go through with my hand and pull up all of the dead leaves that surround it. And they just almost disappear in the mulch. And so in the early spring, when it starts warming up, you'll start seeing a little mound of little green shoots coming out of the ground. But while that's happening, my daffodils are coming up. And so in between each one of these, I have little groupings of daffodils. So the daffodils are beautiful while my daylilies are starting to come out of the ground. And when my daffodils are spent, I start getting these cute little mounds of what look like big giant monkey grass type, you know, bushes. And what I would like to do is another type sequence of blooms. I haven't figured out what to do yet. But basically, when these daffodils, I can feel confident that I can cut them back. They're still very green right now. These daffodils are. I don't feel comfortable cutting them down because I'm assuming that they're feeding the bulb for next year's bloom. And I don't want to take away that. So I want good, healthy blooms next spring. So I'm going to leave them up. I don't think they're a huge distraction because these daylilies really kind of steal the show right now. But what I would kind of like to do is plant something maybe in the front of these daffodils that maybe starts blooming about the time these daylilies start to fade. And so that I would have like a whole sequence of different things blooming at different times. And I'm not sure exactly what that is yet. I haven't figured that one out yet. But a lot of these daylilies probably need to be divided. I mean, this clump here is just, you know, it's just huge. It probably needs to be divided. And that's not hard work, but there's so many of them. It would take me a while. So, but anyway, I really just wanted to show how they're starting to really come into bloom and how pretty they look. Because on my last video, I think I had one, maybe two blooms on the whole entire hedge down through here. And you know, daylilies are called daylilies because each one of these blooms that come out basically bloom for one day, and then they do this. And you can just pull it off. It's really quite easy. They just literally just, you know, pull off. And but after the one day that they bloom, they just kind of, that bloom is spent, and you just kind of pull it off. But in that same cluster, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 more of these little guys, not counting this one, and this one. So, you know, each one of these stalks here has multiple blooms on them. And so they'll bloom for quite a while before they decide they want to stop blooming. And when they stop, I will shear them completely back to the ground almost. I might leave, you know, maybe 2 inches above the ground. And they will send out new growth, go through a whole nother cycle. So anyway, I just wanted to kind of show you what they're starting to look like. Thanks for watching.